Hi, I'm Fiona and I'm back again with another episode, and today I want to talk about an L. An L that I took on the chin but was an L all the same. For those who don't know what an L is a loss. And I want to warn people, I guess, essentially, around this thing because, I thought I did everything properly and then turns out I didn't. And so, but there was no way for me to know or to even have thought that the issue would be an issue, if that makes sense. And so this is very specific to, again, Dolce Butter. I will at some point talk about visualizing motion, I will, but this is in relation to Dolce Butter. And when you run a food business, when you run any business, there's certain things that you have to do. And so I'm just going to run through some of the different things that I did right at the beginning. So outside of like choosing the name and, buying the domain and what have you, I once I decided all of that, I registered the business as like a limited company. And then I registered the business with my local council. Now, if you run a food business, you have to register with your local council, and that is wherever you make your products, basically, whether it's in your house or whether it's in a professional kitchen, you have to register that location with your local council so that you can get an EHO visit. Now, an EHO stands for Environmental Health Officer, and they'll come to your premises, whether it's your house or your professional kitchen, and they'll basically inspect the area. They'll ask you questions about how you prepare things. They'll ask you things around like cross-contamination. They'll look at your packaging. They'll look at things like your hygiene, how are you keeping records, that kind of stuff. And so it's really important that you register your business so that you can kind of go through that process. And then the other thing that we did was to do a level 2 in food safety and hygiene course. I'll also link that down at the bottom just in case that's something you're interested in. And then we also got insurance that was like specific to like food producers. To be honest, I paid for the insurance and I've not spoken to them since, which I am counting as a good thing. Hope it stays that way. But yeah, there's also a thing called the HACCP plan, which it stands for the Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Points plan, and it looks at like, I guess, your overall process, and like it helps you identify certain hazards and just like critical points of like where you may like lose control of like your production, and helps you like think about like how you mitigate certain things. And it's quite a when you read up on it, it feels like quite a big like task. You're just like, what the hell, how do I do this? But I'll put a tool down below in the description that was super helpful, and it's what I used to develop our plan around our production, and I think is really helpful for small producers, because I just think, number one, some producers might not even think about that, and I think it's something that like the EHO would like to see. And B, I think it can be quite daunting, quite overwhelming, but this tool was super, super helpful in terms of just like working your way through the different things and like helping you think about your process as well. And I think it's a dynamic, it's a dynamic plan. Things change. You might change your packaging, in which case that might change like some of the things in the plan, right? But I think the tool is really, really helpful in terms of just like walking through that. So yeah, I'll link that down below for you as well. So you go through all those processes. Now, because we registered during the pandemic, EHO visits weren't happening at that time. So we kind of just ran as normal. I think I put a notice on our website that I talked about us like being insured. I talked about, food being prepared by someone who has like a level 2 in food safety and hygiene. And then I think I put a note saying awaiting EHO visit to some degree, because you get there's like a rating, you get like a food rating out of 5 obviously being the top, but we hadn't been inspected yet, so we couldn't shout about what food level or food rating we were at. And so so that was like November, like late November, early December that I did that. And then literally like end of October, I got an email from our environmental health officer basically saying that she wants to schedule an appointment, that kind of thing. And I was like, sick. Because, you know, like, if there was one thing that was like hanging over my head, it was just getting through this visit. And so like in the last year, I've been like keeping on my records, making sure that like, you know, we have like really good processes when we're making our products, all of this different stuff. And I was just like, I just want to have this inspection so that I can breathe a little. Because it's always just like, I think any food producer who goes through this is always like worried that they're going to get caught out on something or they haven't thought about something. And so I wanted to go through the process just so that if I'm doing things great, like well, then great. But if I'm not, then I can fix it and make it work. And so when that email came, I was like, sick. Okay, cool. We can, you know, get this done. One of the questions she asked me was, do you own the property or is it like social housing? And I was like, oh no, it's social housing. And so she was like, do you have permission to run your business from your house? And I was like, now what now? I didn't know I needed permission to do that. She was just like, okay, well, she basically said, check your tenancy agreement, and if you can't find it, then I can speak directly to your tenancy person at the council. So we've lived in this house for like 14 years at this point. We tried looking for the tenancy agreement, couldn't find it. So she got in touch with our tenancy person, liaison officer at the council, and they came back and said, we can't run the business from the house. Like, it's actually in our tenancy agreement that we can't run the business from the house. And I'll insert what the actual email says, or what the actual agreement says. I'll put it, you'll see it on the screen. I was a bit like, okay, so like, what does that mean? Does that mean that I have to seize all production and I can't run the business right now? And basically, to be quite honest with you, the EHO lady was lovely, but she didn't really give me a definitive answer whether I could or couldn't continue to operate whilst we found another location to run from and then re-register. But she did say that she would have to take me off the register and that I would have to re-register once I found another location. And so what I wanted to say, or the point of today, was to make sure that you are checking your tenancy agreements. And to me, I just thought it was so funny that like I'd done everything right and somehow got in trouble for doing things right. And I don't think many people think about like whether their tenancy agreements allow them to operate their business from their houses. And I get it in terms of, you know, sometimes certain businesses can create disturbances for neighbours. I don't feel like ours do. Yes, we had people collecting from our property, but like during the day, and it wasn't like there was like hundreds and hundreds of people. And I think if it ever got to that point where it was obviously disruptive to my neighbours, I would have been like, okay, well, we need to park this and figure out what the next plan is. But yeah, I want you to be sure of some things. And if you are running a food business, I mean, I feel like other businesses, you might, anyways, I'm not going to advise you to do things under the radar. I always advocate for doing things properly, but you know, I think food businesses especially, like, double check, because it does then leave you in a bit of a sticky situation.
It's a bit of a sticky one still.
The good thing about this for us was that I was already thinking about moving production out of the house. Again, going back to what I was saying a few videos ago, where I was talking about wanting to scale up and make things in bigger bulks and kind of go down the working with retailers route. In order to do that, I can't operate from my little kitchen. And so I was already thinking about doing that in the new year anyways, but it just kind of sped up that process a little bit. And so even though it's an L, I'm seeing it as a blessing, and I'm glad that I had the time to work from here and to perfect certain things. And I'm still tinkering with recipes as we speak, but I'm glad that I got to do that. But ultimately, check your tenancy agreements, guys. You might find yourself in some trouble. But yes, that was all I wanted to discuss today. Let me know if it would be helpful to like go through like a more definitive like checklist of how I did certain things, like from deciding the name of the business, and there's some stories around that, to just some like the finer points of like best practice around like running a food business. I can totally do that for you. But yeah, until next time, see ya.